Hello Year 5s, welcome to your maths lesson. Bright sunny morning for Monday, and I hope you're refreshed and you're ready to tackle your next bit of fractions. I've been incredibly proud and impressed with those children who've been really giving it their all today last week with fractions. I do understand that this is not something that many children find easy, and I really do appreciate those children who've been really listening and paying attention to the videos, because that's where your information and your understanding will lie, and making sure that they're doing the sums with me. So they're not just staring at the computer screen, and you need to be doing it with me to really help you understand. So your learning objective today is to be ordering and comparing fractions, and we're going to be going through that in a little bit more detail. But for now, let's start with our starter. So you've got your fast 6. So try and do these under 6 minutes. And that's what we do in every math lesson. We start with our starter to revise concepts that we've learned from the previous weeks. So here are your 6 questions. So you can pause the video now and have a go. Great job, guys. Let's see how you've done. So the first one is our mental calculation. I don't need to work this out. We're doing my long formal method. I can simply look at 7 times 6, which is 42. And then I count how many zeros I have, and I simply add that many to my number. So my answer is going to be 42,000. Hopefully you've got that correct and you remembered that from last week. We had quite a few of those and not just checking. Right, the next one is we've got a decimal. So remember, making sure my decimal numbers line up. That is the most important. So my decimal, I put my decimal straight away, and then I match up this number. So I've got my ones, so I put my 4 and my ones. I've got 8 tenths, so I put them in. I don't put a 0 here because it has to look exactly the same here. I don't have a 0 between the 4 and the 8. And then I've got a placeholder here. So I'm going to put the 0 and I'm subtracting. So I'm making sure that I'm adding that in. Then another silly error that many of you make is that you don't bring down the decimal. So making sure we have the decimal. And now I can subtract. 8 minus nothing is 8. 6 minus 8 I can't do. So I'm going to go borrow and regroup. 16 minus 8 is 8. Double check that I've got that decimal. And 8 minus 4 is 4. My answer is 4.88. Right, we've got a short multiplication because I'm only multiplying by 1 digit. So I'm going to have 32 multiplied by 8. Okay, set up my work. Right, and now I start. 8 times 2 is 16. So I put the 6 down and I carry the 1. So this number there, you can see it makes 16. 8 times 3 is 24, and 24 plus the 1 is going to be 25. Nice and simple and easy. Right, round the nearest whole number. So I use my little rhyme. Find the number. Here is my whole number, and I underline the number next door. 6 is greater than 5, so I'm going to round this number up. So it's going to become an 8, and that is all I want because I just want a whole number. Okay, I don't put a decimal in there because then you've given me a decimal number. I just leave it as 8. Right, now I've got a decimal multiplied by a whole number. Right, so I'm going to start. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry the 1. 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 plus 1 is 10. And now, what can you remember that I have not done that you have often children make? And we've just done this in question 2. So what must I not forget to do? Fantastic work. Put that decimal, and now I've got to see how many digits do I have after the decimal here? There's 1 digit. So I'm going to count 1 digit, and I'm going to put the decimal in there. So 10.5. And if you think about 3.5, if you have 3.5 plus 3.5 plus 3.5, you're going to get 10.5, because remember, another way of saying 10.5 is 10.5. And the last one is going to be 8 squared. So 8 squared, just another way of asking it, looks like that. Okay, so 8 times 8, and my little saying is I ate and I ate and I got sick on the floor. 8 times 8 is 64. Okay, so hopefully you've done really well with your starter. So we're going to move on now to our questions. So just a little bit of a recap for you. The steps that we need to follow to find equivalent fractions. Now, many of you have understood this, and this is fantastic. And for those of you who have struggled, I have put this little crib sheet for you into the files document tab in the maths folder for you. So if you do need to have a reminder of how to find an equivalent fraction, I've put that in there so you can print it out or you can copy it down. But we are going to go through it together, and it is important that you understand this step, because if you don't understand how to make an equivalent fraction, you're not going to be able to do the rest of the lesson. So take your time to make sure that you're 100% happy with this. It is very easy if you concentrate and you focus. So let's go through this together. Right, so I have 3 9s is equal to what 27s, okay? So first of all, the red is I'm going to draw my arrow. So if I just rub all this out for you, it might make a little bit more sense, and then we can see the answers. So first of all, I have said step number 1 is I draw the arrows to the missing value. So if you are still struggling with your equivalent fractions, write this on your piece of paper now and do the steps with me. Those children who actually feel quite confident with equivalent fractions, you're welcome to go ahead, all right? But those children who just want to have a quick recap or making sure that they're following these steps, you do this with me now. Right, so I'm first going to draw the arrows to the missing value. Here is my missing value, okay? There's nothing there, so I'm going to draw my arrows to my missing value. So I'm going to go and point to the missing value, just like a finger, and point to the missing value and to the other value. Okay, so whatever I do to the one number, I do to the other. So it says the top and the bottom. Then I need to decide which operation am I going to do. It's either times or divide. It's not plus or minus. It is only times or divide. Now, there's no information up here. So I'm going to look at the bottom, and there's more information at the bottom. So I'm going to look at the bottom numbers. And I'm going to say to myself, what have I done to 9 to get 27? I've times it by 3. Okay, so I then pause and check. The direction I'm going is this arrow. So I say, is 9 times 3 27? And if it is, I feel very happy that that is correct. So this pause and check is very important, okay? So if you put divide by 3, you would then realize that 9 divided by 3 is not 27, and therefore you've made a mistake here. Now, this is very important because now whatever you do to the one number, you must do to the other number. So I'm then going to say, right, I've done times 3 here. So I'm going to do times 3 to the top number. And the last one that I'm going to be doing is I'm then going to check my answers. So I'm going to say 3 times 3 is 9, and I'm happy. Okay. And I've checked 9 times 3 is 27, 3 times 3 is 9, and I'm happy. So again, this step is very important. And if you have not understood it, or you just want to have a once over again, rewind the video and follow those steps. And I have put it in your files for maths today so that you can have it with you when you're doing your working out, because this step is very important. And it is very easy if you're following those steps. You can all do it, and you can all do it successfully. Okay, so there are the steps to help you. So I don't want to have any excuses. I've written them out for you. They're there to help you, so use them. Right, so when we are looking at comparing fractions, I have these two fractions. I have 2 8s, and I have 6 and 6 8s, and I have 3 6, and I have 6 9s. Now, out of these two, this one is going to be very easy. And why do you think this question is going to be easier? If you have a look at the bottom numbers between these two. Right, and you will notice that the denominators here are the same. And when my denominators are the same, it is nice and easy, okay? Because I can equally compare them, all right? They're the same. So all this is saying is I've taken a pizza or a cake, and I've divided it into 8 equal parts. Remember, my bottom number tells me how many is in total, and my top number tells me how many I've eaten. Okay, for example, if I've got a pizza, I've divided up into 8 equal slices, and I've eaten 2 of those. Or I've eaten 6 of those 8 slices. So if I had to say to you, which one have I eaten more of? So how much pizza did I eat? And I ate 2 8s of a pizza or 6 8s of a pizza. You're going to tell me that I ate 6 8s of a pizza, because you can clearly see that both pizzas are the same, and I've eaten 2 slices and I've eaten 6 slices. Who's eaten the most? The one who's eaten 6 slices. But these do not have the bottom numbers are the same, and therefore it makes it very tricky because I can't compare it. I can't see which one is got more because I can't see it easily. So This is where it becomes very important that we understand how to make an equivalent fraction, which is the method I just taught you in the previous slide. So make sure that you understand it. So this is why it's very important that we can make equivalent fractions, because I have to have my bottom numbers need to be the same. And then once my bottom numbers are the same, I can then look at the top numbers and I can compare them and I can say which one is bigger or which one is smaller. So let's have a look at how we do that. Here are our steps to success. This is what we're going to be following today. So once we've made our equivalent fraction, this is what I'm going to follow to find out which one is bigger. So first of all, I have to have my bottom numbers the same. Are my bottom numbers the same? No, they are not. So I need to make both bottom numbers the same. That is step number one. So I'm going to draw my lines and I'm going to go and look at the bigger number. Which number is bigger, the 3 or the 9? The 9 is bigger. Well done. So I'm going to say, can 3 go into 9 equally? 3, 6, 9. Yes, it can. So I am going to make both bottom numbers 9. So my denominators are going to be 9. And now I have to make an equivalent fraction. So this is where it becomes very easy once we've understood how to make an equivalent fraction. Now, instead of going across, which is what we did earlier, we're just going to go down. Okay, so it's no different. Instead of going across, we're going to go down. So I'm going to say, what did I do to 3 to get 9? Okay, and I times it by 3. Well done. And now whatever I do to the one number, I need to do to the other number. So I'm going to say 2 times 3 is 6. If it is going to help you to set it out going across, you can do that, right? And then just write this number. So write another little sum like this, like I'm doing, above your page or below it. Draw your arrows pointing to the missing value. What I do to 3 to get 9, I times it by 3. So what must I do to 2? I times it by 3. And 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, and then you take that 6 and you write it here if that's going to be easier for you. Then what did I do to 9 to get 9? I did absolutely nothing. So I'm going to do absolutely nothing to my 4 and I'm going to leave it. Okay. And now that my bottom numbers are the same, I can look at my top numbers. And which one is larger? Is 6 bigger or is 4 bigger? And you're going to tell me 6 is greater than 4. And so therefore 2/3 is greater than 4/9. Now, the only thing that might be a little bit tricky for you today, and it's not tricky, it's just something you have to remember, is when you are having to write the answer, you must give the original fraction. So, for example, if I said to you, which one is larger? Imagine these were like 2 cards that I gave you. And on one card, I gave you 2/3, and on another card, I gave you 4/9. And I said to you, which one is bigger? Hold the card up. You would not hold up a card that had the number 6/9, okay? This is an equivalent fraction, so they're equal to one another, but the card that you would hold up is 2/3. So as your answer, you need to give me 2/3 as your answer. So yes, 6/9 is the bigger number, but remember these are the same because they are equivalent fractions. So you would hold up the card 2/3 to me, because if you only had those 2 cards, you do not have a 6/9 card. So you're going to tell me that 2/3 is the same as 6/9. So you would hold up 2/3. So your answer you would write would be 2/3. Right, so let's do this together. And then you're going to have a chance to do it on your own. So first of all, step 1, make the bottom numbers the same. Are they the same? No, they are not. So I'm going to then draw my lines. I look at the bigger number. The bigger number here is 24. Can 8 go into 24 equally? 8, 16, 24. Yes, it can. So I'm going to make both numbers at the bottom 24. Right, remember, if it's easier for you to make an equivalent fraction going to the side, write 2/8 equals and 24ths. Draw my arrows going to the missing value, which is the top. I look at the bottom, I say 8, 16, 24. So I need to times by 3. I pause and I check. Is 8 times 3 24? Yes, it is. So I times the top number. 2 times 3 is going to be 6. And then I put the 6 there. I did nothing to 24 to get 24. So I do nothing to the 3. And now I look and I say 6/24 is bigger. So which number am I going to write? I'm going to write 2/8 is my answer. Okay, remember you have to write the original fraction. In your quiz today, if you don't write the original fraction, you're not going to get the mark immediately. Okay, so make sure you're doing that. Right, now I've just got another number, which is nothing scary. Let's go through the steps. Step number 1, are my denominators the same? No, they're not. So I need to change some of them. Which is the biggest number? 12. Can 6 go into 12? Yes, it can. Can 2 go into 12? Yes, it can. So my bottom number is going to be 12. And what do you think I need to now do to the top numbers? Great job. I need to make equivalent fractions. So what I do to 12 to get 12? I did nothing. So what must I do to the 4? Absolutely nothing. What I do to 6 to get 12? I times it by 2. So what must I do to the 5? Times it by 2, which is 10. What did I do to 2 to get 12? I times it by 6. So what must I do to the 1? Times it by 6, which is 6. And now I want to know which number is smaller. Make sure you're reading your questions. The smallest number is 4/12. And what is the original fraction? The original fraction is 4/12. So I would write 4/12 as my answer. And the last one, let's have a look. I have two numbers. They are not the same at the bottom. So I need to look at the bigger number, which is 9. Can 6 go into 9 equally? No, it cannot. So what number can both 6 and 9 go into equally? And if you need, you write the multiples, 6, 12, 18. I would write the first 3 or 4 multiples. We're going to do 4. And so you're just counting in that number, and I'm going to go 9, 18, 27, 36. Right, which number appears in both these lines? 18. So both 6 and 18 can go into, 6 and 9 can go into 18. Right, and then I say, right, 9 times what gives me 18? 9 times 2. So I'm going to say 5 times 2, which is 10. Then I say 6 times what gives me 18? 6 times 3. So I'm going to say 2 times 3 is 6. And now I can see that 10/18 is larger. So I'm going to write 5/9 as my answer. Okay. Right, see if you can do these on your own now. So pause the video. Remember, are the bottom numbers the same? No, they're not. Look at the bigger number. Decide if the other number can go into that, and that becomes your common denominator. And then make equivalent fractions. So pause the video and have a go with those now. Super, let's try. Right, the bottom number are different, and so we're going to have to change them. So first of all, can we look at our bigger number and we say, can 9 go into 27? Yes, it can. So my bottom number is going to be 27. I then say, what I do to 27 to get 27? Nothing. So I'm going to leave my 4. What I do to 9 to 27, I times it by 3. So whatever I do to the one number, I need to do to the other number. So it's going to be 9. And then I've got to say 9/27 is bigger. What is the original fraction? I'm going to write 3/9. Okay. Which one is larger? Again, I've got 3, I've got 8, and I've got 6. And if you need to write the multiples of 3, 8, and 6, you will then find ones that are common. And the one that is common to all 3 is the number 24. Hopefully you've got that. Right, now, what have I done to 3 to get 24? I've times it by 8. 3 times 8, 24. So 2 times 8 is 16. Right, 8 to 24, I times it by 3. 5 times 3 is 15. And 6 to 24, I times it by 4. So I'm going to say 5 times 4 is 20. Which one is larger? 20/24. What is the original fraction? It's going to be 5/6 is going to be my answer. Don't forget to write that original fraction. Right, now I'm going to be ordering them. So again, same method, nothing scary. So numbers are different, so I'm going to have to change them all. and I look at the biggest number, which is 12. Can 6 go into 12? Yes, it can. Can 3 go into 12? Yes, it can. Right, so my bottom number is going to be 12. Right, what did I do to 3 to get 12? I did nothing. I mean, what did I do to 12 to get 12? I did nothing. So I'm going to do the same to the 3. Yeah, I've really just multiplied it by 1. What did I do to 6 to get 12? I multiplied it by 2. So I'm going to multiply the top number by 2, which is 2. Remember, these are just equivalent fractions. And 3 times 4 is 12. So 1 times 4 is 4. And now I have a look. Which one is the smallest? 2 12ths. Now, don't forget, we need to write the original fraction. So what is 2 12ths? It's 1/6. So when you're writing your answers today, making sure that you're answering it like this. Right, then put a comma, no space. Excuse me, don't put any spaces in your answers today either in the quiz, otherwise I'm going to mark it wrong. So put the fraction. So let me do it actually as a, in typing. So you're going to put 1/6, comma. Right, which is the next one, which is the next largest number, 3 12ths. Again, find the original fraction. So I'll put 3 12ths, comma, and then 4 12ths. What's the original fraction? A third. Okay, so once you've got your equivalent fractions, you can then look at the numbers at the top and decide which one it is. And then don't forget to write the original fraction. If you don't write the original fraction, the computer is not going to mark it correct. Even if you've written these numbers, it is correct, but the computer is going to read number for number, okay? So making sure you write the original fraction. So that's why it's very important that you're setting your work out like this as well, so that you can see which number goes where. Right, so just a reminder of how we compare numbers and how we order them as well. Compare and order them. First of all, number 1 is make bottom numbers the same if they are not the same. I can tell you right now that all the bottom numbers today are not the same. So you then need to be changing them. Right. So first of all, once you have changed the bottom numbers, look at the biggest bottom number and see if the other numbers can go into that number. If not, write out the multiples of each number and find the common one. Okay, once you've done that, make equivalent fractions and then either order them in order, remember to read your questions, or compare them. Happy days. Okay, so hopefully that makes some sense for you and you've understood today's lesson. If you have struggled, go back, redo those questions with me, draw it out on a piece of paper. Don't just do it in your head, okay? In class, we would be doing it on our whiteboards. We would be doing them together in our books. So please make sure that you're doing them together as well at home and you're not just watching the video and waiting for me to give you the answers. You have to physically be doing them as well. Right, so go onto Teams now, log on. Your quiz today is all on comparing and ordering fractions. I have also put that steps to success for your equivalent fractions, which is important. And I hope you do really, really well. And if not, make sure that you come back and watch this video to help you. It's not difficult. I do understand that sometimes when we hear the word fractions, we freak out and we think, oh, it's so scary. But actually, it's really easy if you're just following those steps, okay? Just have to follow, what does number 1 do? What do I need to do with number 2? What I need to do in step 3? And that will help you. And you just need to follow those, okay? And once you follow those, you will be fine. So good luck today. I'm looking forward to seeing how you do. And I hope you enjoy your lesson. Have a wonderful day and I'll see you back tomorrow.